All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not sure who's on as yet. We're gonna wait for a little bit. This is the Power of Men. We have not been on for some time, almost a couple months actually. Been really trying to focus my mind on my writing and want to be focused and not be trying to multitask too much in doing too many things. And the writing is so important to me, and this is one of my major focus for this year, and my intention for this year, as I indicated, is um, to not allow anything to to keep me for me to live actually beyond my self-imposed limitation. So I am happy to be here. Hey Loretta, I busted down. What's going on with you guys? Thank you for showing up here with me. I am about to start recording here. Waiting for maybe one or two more people to show up. But today's topic, we are going to talk about 5 tips in being a great dad or being a great father. From my perspective, of course, as a father, as a therapist, I'm just going to share some things that I have learned through my experiences. So some of you may hear, I'm not sure how the sound is coming through on your end. I know in my end I pick up everything in this room, so there's a slight humming, but usually I'm able to take that out when I do the editing. You live won't see, well, you will hear everything. I'll edit the audio version later. Hey Angie, what's going on, girl? It's good to see ya. Alright, so I'm gonna start recording here. Hi, what's going on, Lady Petrus Byron? Aisha. Let's see here, let's do this. Hi, Therese. What's going on? Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Warren Mitchell, and this is the Power of Men podcast. I am here recording. It's been a while since I have recorded any episode, about 2 months, I think. And just wanted to do my first live episode here. Hi, Amisha. Oh my gosh, Amisha helped me record my first episode, y'all. Big ups to her. What's up, Denise and Glenda? And so I just wanted to quickly put an episode on here. I'm excited to do this and do this live and try it live, and maybe able to get some questions from you guys, from you all regarding to these 5 tips that I'm going to indicate. And you may add a few tips of your own if you feel that there's something that's important in being a great dad that I did not mention. So this is just 5 tips. It's not the 5 best tips. It's just my idea of based on my experiences, again as a therapist, but more importantly as a father. I'm raising 3 kids. I have 3 kids. My daughter, who's 22, just graduated from college at Georgia State, and taking a year out, and then started working already. She's about to get a car. Oh my gosh, yes. She's attend med school next year. I have 2 sons, Jabari and Kasim. Jabari is going into his second year at Georgia State, and Kasim is going to be, well, he is actually a junior at Parkview High School. And Kasim just tore his ACL a couple weeks ago practicing in soccer, so he's going to be out for this soccer season. Such a bummer, man. He was so excited and wanting to try out for varsity, and he is not going to be able to make it. It's going to be hard, so if you guys can keep him in prayer, I'd really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, so let's just jump into this. Again, this is Warren Mitchell here at the Power of Men podcast, and we are going to talk about today 5 tips in being a great dad or a great father. All right, like I said, if there are more, hey Michael, what's going on, brother? If there are more tips that you would like to share, or if there's a question you have, please feel free to ask. I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say. All right, let me try and see if I can. Oh, I'm actually watching myself. All right, so 5 tips. The first one: take ownership in being your best self. This you can do even before you become a father. All right, this has to be something that you are in the works of doing. You're trying your best to be your best self. Don't wait until you get married. Don't wait until you have kids to then start working on that. It's not too late if that's when you do start, Marcy D. But definitely, if it'll be easier for you if you start taking your life seriously and what you want to do, and who you want to be, so that as your kid is born, you better prepare to welcome him or her into this world, better support his mom or her mom, and being her best self as well. Work on your growth daily. I'm talking about a well-rounded growth, of all the dimensions that affect you: your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, social health, and financial health. We don't mention that a lot sometimes, but we need to make sure that we are taking care of our finances. That's something I still need to grow in. I'm working on, but still I have a lot of work to do in that area. So it's important that we pay attention to our health. And a lot of times, many of us don't focus on our health unless there's a crisis, unless something terrible is about to happen, or we get some sad news about our cholesterol is high, pressure is high, diabetes issue, or we have some sort of stresses in our lives that we don't know how to deal with. If that's when it hits you, and you haven't started taking care of yourself, then it's okay, so be it. It's never too late. It's best to start whenever you can, but the sooner the better. And again, why I think that is important in being a father, that you are taking care of you. You want your child to see that you value your own life. You want them to see that you are in the process of caring for themselves, and they know that you put time in to make sure that those things happen. Kids absorb information at a very, very early age, and we don't know exactly what they're absorbing versus what they don't. And the information that sticks is the information that we consistently display or demonstrate to them, and that they witness. Even when we don't think they are witnessing, they are watching us and seeing how we respond to different things, and they try to emulate that in their own way, in their own social settings. And so it's important that we pay attention to how we are living our lives, and that we are caring for ourselves, and we're not allowing other people's concerns, other people's life, to be more important to us than our own life is to ourselves. So we need to be, some people might say, a bit selfish. I say self-true in that effect. So we have a component of being selfish, and here is selfless. I don't think either of these are healthy for us. And in the middle here is what I call being self-true. This is when you can say yes to you, which some people might think is being selfish, but it's saying yes to you. You need to make sure that nobody takes precedence over you. You are the one that's responsible for those kids. You are the one that's responsible for your household. You are the one that's going to have to be responsible for you. It is nobody else's responsibility to take care of you except you. Okay? So make you a priority so that your kids can recognize how much you value yourself, and they themselves can begin to take that on and valuing themselves, and connect with people who also are valuing themselves. And you're not looking for your kids to give you value. You recognize that your value is intact, and that value, that worthiness rather, is what helps you to raise your child. All right? So second tip that I have here: accept the fact that you are not perfect. Right? But you can learn, and you are willing to learn and open to learning to be better. One thing that I've learned in having kids, that they challenge you. They challenge you to evolve. They challenge your mindsets. They challenge your beliefs. They challenge how you see things. And you may have said when you were younger that I will never be like my dad, or I'll never be like this parent figure, because of some of the negative traits that they may have had, or how they may have parented you. And all of a sudden you hear people around you start saying, hey, you acting just like your dad, or acting just like your mom. Even if you're a male. I was going to say if you're a female, but some of us, like I can say for me, I have some of my mother's traits in me as well, both positive and negative. So it's important that we are aware that we're not going to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes, and that when we make those mistakes, is to see it as I'm human. I'm a human being, And if you're taking care of yourself, like the first tip, you are more open to accepting those mistakes and trying to see how you can use it to become better. Kids challenge us again to evolve. They also challenge us to become the fathers that they need. You might have envisioned yourself as a certain type of father, having a certain type of kid, and that kid that you have does not match up to the kid that you envisioned. So it's important that you learn to adapt, or adjust rather, to the child that you have, and be mindful of the issues that they stir up in you, because they will. All right. And the third tip kind of relates to that you have most likely adopted some of the negative traits of your parents or how you were parented. All right. And so it's important that when they show up, and our kids will challenge those issues that we have that are unresolved, and it's up to us. At first it might hit us because we might have worked so hard saying that we will never be like this parent, and all of a sudden it's starting to show up. And what I've noticed as well, I used to be pretty hard on my kids when they showed a particular behavior that I didn't like in myself. And I didn't recognize that what I was rejecting in them is what I was rejecting in me. And I had to be challenged with that, and learn to focus on taking care of me, which goes back again to the first tip, to take ownership of being my best self, or take ownership of being our best selves. Those issues are going to come up, and they show up so that we can go back and deal with those issues where we may have left as a little boy growing up and left those issues and left some emotional baggage there. And when our kids show up and they stir that up in us, it is an opportunity for us to say, aha, I remember you. I didn't know you were there, but you were here, and I'm going to focus on finding out why you're still here. Maybe I have some things that I need to work on. Hey, what's up, Leslie, Romal? What's going on, Kenny? And Errol, what's going on, man? And it's important that we pay attention. We pay attention to when those issues come up, and don't blame our kids. You piss me off. You irritating me. You making me so. No. The kid is just being a kid. It's up to you. You the adult. That's why you have the kid, and the kid didn't have you. And so it's important that you recognize you are responsible. You are the one that must be more flexible in being able to adapt to the type of child that you're having, or that you have in front of you, type of kids. And not every child is the same. Be careful of that. Just because you parented a child in one particular way, don't expect that you're going to parent that other child in that same way and think that they're going to turn out the same. They may not. It may not be the type of parenting style that they are open to. And so it's important that you are mindful of that. Remember, you have to be the one as the adult. You as the supposedly more mature one, be the one to be more flexible. Be the one to be open to see, what is this that this child is bringing to me? What message, even from a spiritual perspective, what message from God is this child bringing to me that I need to pay attention to? And not look to blame the child because I have some unresolved issues that I thought I had locked away and was no longer a part of, and now it's showing up, and I'm blaming them for opening that up. If it wasn't there, there will be nothing to open up. So that's not the kid's fault. Okay? The fourth tip that I have is learn to say, I'm sorry. All right? I made a mistake. I yelled at you. I said some stuff to you I should not have said. That was not healthy for me. You know how powerful that is for a child to hear their father say that I made a mistake and I'm sorry? We talk about integrity, and it's so important that we live as an example. We teach it by how we live our lives to our kids. All right. So it's important that we learn to say, "I am sorry." Let's see here. Glenda is so true about seeing the behavior that we don't like in ourselves and in our children. Yeah, definitely. We don't like it. We hated it sometimes. Maybe some behaviors such as being insecure being soft spoken, where we, I remember for me, like I'm saying, I'm kind of soft spoken, and so if I hear my kids are being soft spoken when they're out in public, when they're asking for something, ordering food or what, I'm like, come on, like speak up, exercise your voice. When in reality, yeah, I had trouble with that, and still do. Is now that I've done a lot of work on myself and realizing that I need to step it up some. I need to speak up when I need something, and not, blame my kids for displaying a behavior that I may have displayed to them, and where they may have picked it up. And so it's important that we recognize whatever the behavior is that our kids stir up in us, it's our issue to learn to deal with, or to find out why it's there. Again, I'm going back to number 4 again, learning to say that I'm sorry. It's a sign of humility, and humility is a symbol of strength. Some people might see humility as a sign of weakness, and it's not. It's an opportunity to say, as strong as I am, in a position of authority that I am in, I recognize that I am wrong, and I'm going to tell you I'm sorry, because it's true. And so many people in political or positions of authority, whether it be politics, religion, businesses, and they make mistakes. And they come out, and because there are repercussions for their mistake, they come out and say, oh, I'm sorry, or I didn't mean to do this, or this is what I meant, or you may have, and just admit to it. I was wrong. I had some racist tendencies. I realized I thought I was over them, but they're still in me, and I got some work to do. Or I have some chauvinistic tendencies that I thought I was over, but it's still part of my development, and I have to work on that. So it's important that we acknowledge, and especially in being in a position of authority in the home, that we demonstrate to our kids that we are not perfect. And we acknowledge that. But our imperfection is not a reflection of our worth. That's so important, to teach our kids that perfection is not a sign of worthiness. All right? Perfection in most people, if not all, people who try to be perfect, they're really trying to hide some sort of insecurity. So trying to be perfect, or trying to be a great example to your kids. You don't want your kids seeing you making mistakes. I mean, some mistakes they should not be allowed to see. I hear that. But day-to-day stuff, if you made a mistake, if you for those of you who spank, and you spank a kid and you realize you shouldn't have, maybe something you need to work on, you tell them that you're sorry, but you're going to discipline them. Doesn't mean, I'm not saying take away the discipline. Saying I'm sorry doesn't take away the responsibility you have to guiding a child who needs our supervision, to guide them into being the best selves. And we don't know who they are. They come into this world with so much in them that they don't know, we don't know. What we have been given is a responsibility to learn from our own experiences, and to create a space where our kids can have the safety and freedom to learn to be themselves. And that self may be different than the narrative that you have of the child that you wish you had. And that's okay. It's all right. There's so much that a child can teach you in just being different from the person you expected them to be. Allow your kids to be who they are, and they can teach you by being who they are to be a better person in who you're called to be. So don't underestimate the value of discovering your own imperfections. It's important in order for us to grow. All right, and then the fifth tip that I have here is treat your kid's mother with respect. I say that again. Treat your kid's mother with respect. It doesn't matter if you're still seeing her or not, especially in their presence. They need to see that you treat this woman with respect. When you don't, you're actually sending a message to them that they can either disrespect her, or women on a whole. And this goes for whether you have a son or a daughter. All right? If it's a daughter, you might be teaching her that she doesn't deserve respect because you don't respect her mother, because she may see herself in her mother. And how you treat her mother is how she thinks that women ought to be treated, and how she thinks other guys it's okay for other guys to treat her like that. So don't underestimate that value. A lot of times when we, in blended families, there are a lot of issues with mothers and fathers who don't know how to get along, or because of the intense emotional space that they're in, based on how the breakup took place, that they have difficulty getting along. And a lot of times one or both may use the kids as pawn, in the middle of that, trying to get back at the other parent by, not allowing the child to see their father or their mother. In most cases, in many cases, I have witnessed is a lot of mothers who may try to prevent, may use the kid until you start paying child support, until you do such and such. You're not gonna see your kid. What happened between you and the child's mother, or you and the child's father, is not the kid's fault. Don't make them be punished for something that they had nothing to do. Because many of them, they're going to start taking on the responsibility, thinking it had something to do with them. That's not fair. Come on, we can do better than that. All right? So it's important that as you interact with her, or even when you're talking about her when she is not around, fathers, men, don't say anything negative to their mother. Not, again, especially not in the kids' presence, or even if the kids in the house, you think they're in their room or they're in another room and you're talking negatively about their mother to somebody else. Please don't do that. And don't have anybody talk negatively about their mother either. So it's not just you. If you're hearing somebody's talking negatively about your child's mother, and especially in front of the child, stop them. Tell them that can't happen. And don't encourage that by initiating it, because the only reason why other people may be talking negatively about their mother is because you gave them permission by doing that. So be mindful of that, to respect her. It's not always easy to do so, but what would help in helping you to respect a child's mother is going back to the first tip, taking ownership of the responsibility of being your best self. All right. So don't base how you behave on how somebody else treats you, how somebody else behaves. You are responsible for you. As men, we gotta step up. Be true to who we are. We cannot allow what has happened between us and our child's mother to affect how we parent, to affect how present we are. Many of us disappear after that. So many single homes. That some kids are being raised in single homes, and most of those single parents are mothers. We have a few, and I have one partner, Craig, who helped raise it. I think it's 3 daughters, I believe he has. Great job. There are men out there that are doing that, but in most cases, they are women, and in many cases, fathers, once it's out of sight, it's almost like out of mind. I'm telling you, I've had numerous clients who come through here, not just as adolescents, but even as adults, that are still struggling, wondering why their father wasn't more involved in their lives, why their fathers didn't fight for them, didn't fight, even though the mother may have given them some hassle. Why didn't you push? Why didn't you try harder? And I think that's important for us to pay attention to that. One of the things I tell fathers to do, if they're having a hard time with the child's mother, and it's hard for them to see the child, is to write letters. Write letters and save them. Whenever you think of your child or children, write something about them and save the letter, so that when you finally connect with them, you can give them the letter and date those letters as well, so that they can see that you were thinking about them. That would mean so much for a child, to know that in my absence you thought of me. That means a lot, because when you're not there, that's a blank space for them, and they are filling in that space with a bunch of negativity a lot of times. Either they might be blaming you, or they might be blaming themselves, or sometimes they might be blaming their mother, because the mother now has to be both parents, the nurturer and the disciplinarian. And I'm not saying, because even though traditionally we tend to say that the mothers are the nurturer and the father the disciplinarian, I'm not into that. We both have to be nurturers and both have to be disciplinarians. We have to know how to tag team and how to do those and perform those parenting roles. Our kids need us. They need us. They need us to be our best selves. They need us to accept that we are not perfect, but we can learn and we can grow, and that even they can teach us how to be better. They need to teach us, they need to see us being able to recognize that we have issues from our own childhood, from our own upbringing, that are showing up in today, and showing up maybe how the child is behaving. And as much as you may not like it, they need to hear that they are not at fault, that you are taking ownership of that responsibility of your behavior. They need to hear you say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for not showing up. I'm sorry for making promises that I don't deliver. And these are the changes I'm going to make as I move forward. It's important that we recognize that, and our kids recognize that we recognize that we're not perfect. We humbling ourselves to become better and be better fathers and better men. All right? And then we also need to treat their mothers with respect. Don't talk negatively about them, in or outside of their parents. Don't talk negatively about them to another person. And when I say don't talk negatively, I mean bashing them. So you can talk to somebody else who you believe, who is a confidant, somebody that could be trusted, somebody who can also hold you accountable. Not a no yes person that's just going to agree with everything you say about their mother. Someone who can help you see her perspective and try and understand why she may have done or why she may have said what she did. So again, you can talk about her and you can be open and honest about, the challenges that you're experiencing with her, but make sure it's with someone who will check you if you are out of line and you're out of order. Don't allow your kids to hear somebody else talking about their mother, and especially if you are wrong, and do nothing. I don't care what has happened between you and their mother. Their mother is a powerful energy, not just energy, a powerful person in their lives. And you don't want anything to taint that power. Because a lot of them, they see that their mother is a representation of them. Mothers have done so much in keeping our communities together. And I don't want to minimize what we have done as fathers, but we have to acknowledge the truth. In so many homes, single mothers are the one that are carrying the torch of taking the burden of the load of raising our kids. It's easy to have visitation, because a lot of times when we have visitation, we do a lot of fun things with the kids. But the day-to-day upbringing, and you have to deal with the kids' attitude, especially when they become teenagers, and you have to deal with so many things as a mother when you're raising a kid by yourself. And sometimes the kid may not want to see that one person disciplining them, so then they might look to put you on a pedestal, and comparing them, and that hurts. I've had some mothers here, and it hurts them when they hear how positively they talk about their fathers, and then they disrespect them or disobey them and don't want to listen. They're not perfect. I'm not saying mothers are perfect, but I'm saying we have to do our part. It's important. Again, 5 tips again. Take ownership in being your best self. Always work on you daily. Work on growing. Physically, mentally, spiritually, socially. The people you interact with is important, that let your kids see that you're interacting with people who are about something, people who challenging you to grow, people who are challenging themselves to grow. Let them grow up in an environment and recognizing that the people that we connect with, they're about something, so that they take that on as their own, that they have to be about something too. It's not just my dad telling me such and such. All right, and also financially, that's another area that we need to get a handle of, and our kids need to see us better managing our money, and so that they can take on. So if some of you may give your kids I'm about to say, I forgot, I'm blanking out on the word, but give your kids money and help challenge them to manage that. Some of them are working. Challenge them to save. Challenge them how to spend. Challenge them how to invest. It's so important that we recognize that how we handle everything in our lives, and especially our finances. Our kids are listening to that and paying attention. Second tip, accept that you are not perfect. It is okay. Like I said before, our imperfection is not a reflection of our worth. All right? We were born innately great beings. It is our responsibility to use what life brings into our space. Use that to reveal our greatness. This includes our imperfection. It includes failure. Let our kids see that we are not afraid to take risks. That, as I think it's Mandela who said that, I never lose, right? Or I never fail. I either win or I learn. That's powerful. You either win or you learn. Failure is not meant to make you less than or reveal something is wrong with you. Failure is meant to be an opportunity to build you up. Failure is a part of success. All right? So keep that in mind. All right. So learn to accept your imperfection, but but accept the fact that it's okay. You can become better. The third one, you have most likely adopted some traits from your parents or how you were parented, and one of the main ways that tends to show up is through parenting your own kids. Some will show up in relationships. Some will show up in how you parent your kids. And based on your kids' behavior and how you deal with those kids. So humble yourself, acknowledge that, and recognize that that's not your kids' issue. They didn't bring that to the table. You did. All right, and then learn to say I'm sorry, because you're not perfect, and saying I'm sorry is a sign of humility, and a sign of strength, and living in a life of integrity. Okay, and finally, treat your kid's mother with respect, especially around them. And don't allow yourself or anybody else to talk negatively about them. So this is it. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time and add an episode and try my Facebook Live for the first time with this The Power of Men podcast. I want to thank you all for listening, watching. I don't know if there's any question anybody had. Just wait a few seconds. Hey, Courtney, what's going on? Lady Serena, what's happening all the way in Ilusha? Big ups. Saudi, South. India, Indira, what's going on? Good to have you here. Thank you all for listening. Let me see if anybody asked anything. Hey Jeanette, what's happening? Petra, Robert, what's going on, Governor? Thank you all for showing up. Sharon Peterson, what's happening? Irving. Thanks, Sam Hart. Thank you all for being here. What's up, Sam? Let's see here. Say big ups to Leslie. All right. So that's it for today. I am going this weekend on a writing retreat. I'm challenging myself to birth this book that I've been talking about for some years now. Really looking forward to it, and just spending some time in nature this weekend. And so keep me in prayer for that. What's up, Russ? I'm looking forward to spending this time and to just pour out what I've been saying. It's a goal that I've been working on for so long, and now is the time. I see other people who are doing their thing, and I feel a little tinge inside of me, like, why am I not doing that on another level? And my book is going to be the thing that's going to help me to get there. So you may have something that you're working on, fathers, mothers, women, men. Please, child, make sure you put in time to nurture that and make that thing happen. It's not just going to drop in your lap. Maybe it has for some people. You got to put it out there. Thank you, Serena. I really appreciate that. All right, so again, this is the Power of Men podcast, and I am your host, Warren Mitchell, and today's topic, 5 tips in being a great dad or great father. So take a listen, let me know what you think. It'll be on Facebook Live, and then I have to do some editing to put it on the regular podcasting stations so that you can listen again, hopefully with the lack of humming. I'm not sure if you're hearing it or not. But anyway, thank you all. Blessings to you. Peace, and have an awesome and great day.